Greater Media Broadcast News.
Welcome to another edition of Greater Media Broadcast News. I'm Susie Shea, bringing you this week's top headlines in Central New Jersey. Here are some of the stories we're covering this week. State and local election results, a panel on New Jersey's future, a new ferry service, a crime-stopping initiative, and a Veterans Day project. If voters sent a message during this week's general election, it is one of satisfaction. Residents across Central New Jersey gave the nod to nearly every incumbent candidate on the ballot, from town hall to the State House. But not all will be status quo come January 1st. In Edison, residents unseated their mayor, Antonia Resigliano, whose tumultuous four-year term had been marked by battles with the township council. Voters tapped one of those council members, Democrat Tom Lanke, to take over. Another upset took place in Monmouth County, where Republicans gained a majority on the Eatontown Borough Council, winning both seats up for election. The Republican win shifts the political makeup of the council from a 5-2 Democratic majority to a 4-3 Republican one. For more election results, pick up your Greater Media newspaper today. You'll also find our cover story on Veterans Day, which will be observed on November 11th. And here's Mark Rossman with more headlines from this week's papers.
When Superstorm Sandy struck New Jersey on October 29, 2012, Judith Mizuko of Millstone Township went to work. Ms. Mizuko is an art teacher in the Millstone Township School District, and when the lights went out on her farm in Millstone Township, that's when she picked up a camera. What she did was use available light, flashlights, candles, lanterns, anything that was available, to start taking pictures in her home. She recently submitted some of her work to an exhibition that is taking place at Bergen Community College in Paramus and had 3 of her works selected to be shown. It's an amazing look back in mixed media of how artists responded to Sandy. You can read this story in the Examiner this week and online at gmnews.com.
A panel of experts recently discussed how New Jersey should prepare for future storms. Keith Humiller has the details.
A lot has changed in the years since Superstorm Sandy. Our coastline, our seaside attractions, and many of our coastal communities are strikingly different today and will remain so for years to come. There are some, however, who say not enough has changed. Not enough has been done to protect us from the Sandys of the future. During an all-day conference on the one-year anniversary of the storm, local dignitaries, industry leaders, and environmental experts called on the federal government, municipalities, and local residents to rethink the way we live in New Jersey, to change the way we build our communities, and to start planning for issues like sea level rise, which they said will be the defining factor of the 21st century. In this week's Hub, Atlanticville, and Independent newspapers, former governors James Florio and Christine Todd Whitman join experts and planners from throughout the region in calling for dramatic changes in New Jersey before it's too late.
And here's a roundup of headlines from this week's papers. The Middlesex Greenway received a $90,000 grant that will be used to explore transit connections and community programs. The trail runs through Edison, Metuchen, and Woodbridge. Keep updated on future meetings regarding the project by picking up the Sentinel in the coming weeks. A ferry service between South Amboy and Lower Manhattan is expected to launch next March. The State Department of Transportation is working with South Amboy to get the ferry up and running. This is in light of the Pulaski Skyway, which will be closing to northbound traffic for 2 years. Monmouth County and federal officials have announced a new initiative aimed at curbing violent crimes by prosecuting offenders under state statutes. These carry longer sentences that could be served in out-of-state prisons. Project Stop will take them off the streets and isolate them from their families and gang connections. Federal officials will stop the clock on the processing of Liberty Natural Gas's Port Ambrose application for 90 days. The reason cited for the postponement? A significant amount of missing information from the application and delays caused by the recent government shutdown. For all these stories and more, see your Greater Media newspaper today. And here's Mike Pavlichko of Greater Media's WCTC with an update on Rutgers football. After that, we have Tim Morris with more on local sports.
Hey, look, all I ask for from my sports teams is that I be entertained. Right now, the Rutgers football team, very entertaining. I've got 2 favorite pro sports teams. The Mets, not so much. The Devils, they can't score for their life. But the Rutgers football team, every game has kept me on the edge of my seat just about. Let's go back to the Temple game in Piscataway. 13-3, they trailed at halftime their last time out, and a lot of Rutgers fans left by the fourth quarter. boy, did they miss a good show. It started with a blitz and a big defensive stop on 4th down for Temple, 4th and short. Rutgers got the ball back with under 2 minutes to go. And then they missed the hurry-up offense, the much-heralded / much-maligned Gary Nova throwing a bomb downfield to Leonte Carew. Touchdown. Knights were the last big defensive stop to win it. They also blew a big lead late at SMU, you'll remember. They won that game in triple overtime, and even the losses. The opener at Fresno State, don't even tell me you could go to bed with that game still going on until the wee hours of the morning. Rutgers lost that one, as they did at Louisville, a game that was maddening at times, but Rutgers had opportunities to win it. So for my money, the Rutgers football team right now might be the most exciting team to watch in the metropolitan area. They're worth every dollar you spend. I'm Mike Pavlichko on 1450 WCTC and WCTCAM.com.
It's November, which means the state tournament time. For those teams fortunate enough to have successful seasons, the chase for NJSIAA state championships begins with the Central Jersey sectional tournaments. In field hockey, there's the potential for a clash between Freehold Regional District crosstown rivals for the Central Jersey Group 4 title. Freehold and two-time defending champion Freehold Township High Schools are the number 1 and 2 seeds, and if they win their November 8th semifinal games at home, they will play for the sectional title in Freehold Borough on November 12th. Freehold, undefeated at home, is hosting Lenape, while Freehold Township plays Rancocas Valley. Central Jersey Group 4 top seed Freehold, here in blue, used a run to the Shore Conference Tournament Final to get ready for its sectional tournament. In the semifinals against Rumson Fairhaven, which is the top seed in North Jersey Section 2 Group 2, the Colonials attacked the Bulldog Cage relentlessly in waves, scoring 2 unanswered goals in the second half en route to their 3-2 triumph. Earlier this season, the Colonials and Patriots played in Freehold Borough, with the Colonials coming out on top in that one. If they meet in the November 12th final, the stakes will be much higher. Tim Morris for Greater Media Newspapers.
AJ Perry has become so important to us, it really feels like they're part of our family. It's his turn to fold.
AJ Perry will clear any drain, anytime, for only $149.
And that, my friend, is why
I love those guys.
One Monmouth University alumnus is sculpting history, one sports figure at a time. Here's Tom Castles.
Much of what we know about ancient civilizations we learned from the artifacts that those civilizations left behind. Well, history is being made every day, and modern-day sculpting phenom Brian Hanlon is taking a hands-on approach to making sure the best and brightest in our civilization are remembered as the wheel of history rolls on. Hanlon took 4 years of sculpting classes in 1 semester at Monmouth University after he discovered his passion for the art form, and has been modeling civic personalities, war heroes, sports stars, and religious figures ever since. Many of the master sculptor's artworks adorn some of the country's most prominent institutions. He forged the massive brass Binghamton Bearcat outside of their football stadium, a 12-foot-tall statue of Shaquille O'Neal near his alma mater at LSU, and even a solemn representation of Jesus' mother Mary near a church in San Juan, Puerto Rico. In recent years, Hanlon has been taking it upon himself to commemorate obscured historical figures like Earl Lloyd, the first African-American basketball player to be drafted in the NBA. To find out more about Hanlon, the master sculptor and shaper of history, pick up your local Greater Media publication today.
History can be written, but it can also be spoken. One oral history project is making sure that the voices of World War II veterans will be heard for centuries to come. Here's Jack Murtha.
Fading pieces of history often take shelter in the minds of the country's military veterans. But if those stories aren't shared, the mental record dies with the body. Veterans at the JFK Haven Hospice in Edison have begun to tell those tales to volunteers who produce audio recordings and written transcripts of the interviews. The reports are then sent to the Library of Congress, where they will be forever protected as part of its Veterans History Project. Hospice volunteers say the program will benefit generations for years to come. That includes the veterans' family members, who often wouldn't know much else about their tales. Take World War II veteran Eugene Cook, for example. He described his memories of long, winding recruiting lines, how he cleaned Pearl Harbor after the Japanese attack, and soldiers' reactions to the dropping of the atomic bomb. The effort has produced riveting first-hand accounts of history and the wars that shaped our world. That's especially important for World War II veterans who are now dying in droves. For more information, check out your local Greater Media Newspaper's publication.
Many homes and businesses were destroyed by Superstorm Sandy, but one group is commemorating another group that was affected: trees. Here's Amy Rosen.
The mass destruction of innumerable trees felled in Superstorm Sandy's wake sprouted the inspiration for a multimedia art exhibit designed to honor the lives of 43 trees that used to stand in Roosevelt Park in Edison.
The 43 Trees project was created about 2 or 3 weeks after Superstorm Sandy. Deborah and I are regular walkers through Roosevelt Park here in Edison, and we were shocked by the damage, the number of trees that came down. We decided to create a life story for 43 of the trees. The 43 is significant because this past April was the 43rd anniversary of Earth Day.
As they walked through Roosevelt Park, John photographed some of the trees and Deborah collected branches and other items left behind in the storm, which make up the two components of the exhibit: photos and three-dimensional sculptures. Each of the 43 trees photographed was given a name that may have been popular in the era that the tree may have started its life, based upon the rings around its trunks. A fictional story about each tree's life was created by Deborah, John, and a number of other collaborators and mounted with each photograph. The three-dimensional sculptures were designed to represent the shelter that both animals and humans seek during storms and how we choose to rebuild in the aftermath. Several of the pieces contain QR codes that take you to readings, and in one case, on a walk through Lavalette a few days after Sandy devastated that area. Savannah Stories of Song takes you to a live version of Paul McCartney singing Blackbird. The 43 Trees project will be on display at the Gallery of the Edison Art Society in the Edison Municipal Building until January. This is Amy Rosen for Greater Media Newspapers.
For more in-depth coverage and additional stories, pick up your Greater Media newspaper today. This is Susie Shea. Thanks for tuning in.